Shall we just start?
We can start. Welcome to Pixels and Points. We are having some technical difficulties.
We're trying something new. Bear with us, all
And now
right?
we're here.
All right. Sorry about that. We're trying something new. Didn't quite work out the way we wanted it. So we'll hopefully have a little better next time. Anyway,
We will. We will. We made
I
it.
am, even though my name doesn't show up anymore, Matt Nelson. I am a digital media director at Redroc. And
There
with
you
me, of
are.
course, is Susie.
As always, I'm Susie Brown, media buyer here at Redroc. And today on Pixels and Points, we are going to talk a little bit about media spending and what's going on with retail media right now.
Yep, and some other stuff that's going on over at Cannes. They're doing some interactive stuff, and people are complaining about some things about tracking and digital future and what people want to look at. So, but first, we'll start off with a much lighter subject of retail media spends shift toward video slash social.
Yes.
And I mean, we've seen this coming. So, I mean, this isn't
Yep. This is
crazy
what we've
news. This
been
just
preaching, always talking about.
I mean, everybody's getting more and more blind to the display ad, everything that you
Mhm.
have. I mean, with all the apps you have, you everybody goes blind to those ads. I mean, sure they are valuable as a. I think their best use is for retargeting or impression frequency. With the video is where you're really going to have the best chance, and with social, your best chance to like send out a message, talk about your
Mhm.
it's where you're going to have your space to educate the user on whatever your product is, especially if there's a complex issue that you're talking about, or your product isn't just toilet paper. It's something special, or if it's something you need a little bit more time to explain. Video is one of the only avenues you have, because people's attention to display ads is not long enough for this.
Exactly.
It's going to be
And
it's
then you,
their attention to display ads are long enough for like a reminder of the message. Like if you want to remind them of what they've seen on the video, that's where retargeting comes in. Your message can be short and sweet, and people get reminded of that in an instant. But video is where you need
right,
to go for
perfect
this.
for display.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, kind of what we've always been seeing, looking at the chart.
hmm
Video is
And with all of this, all of the AI search stuff going on, and and ROI starting to, people that are always at the bottom of the funnel with ROI and stuff like that, with that starting to dry up a little bit. More and more people are going to be moving towards, building their brand again, which, Susie and I remember those days when that
Mm-hmm.
was what you
Yep,
wanted
yep.
to do, when we were heavily into traditional media and, digital was a smaller portion of that pie. I mean, getting your brand up so that people knew who you were and that your local, they could buy your product or visit your location, that you were local, it was the most important thing. There was no direct return on investment of how of who you were hitting and making sure that they were coming in and saying, I saw the ad on TV. I mean, sure, we had
Mm-hmm.
that as it was a nice little indication, but you could not use that as, people
No,
have
as a
seen our
true
ad on TV.
ROI. Yeah,
Because there were campaigns that we ran that we didn't even run TV, and people would say they saw us on TV, and I'm
well,
like,
exactly. Or they say they saw it on a station that you didn't buy. Because
yeah,
how often, like you're saying, you're bombarded constantly out in the world with media, right? Whether it be screens everywhere, it's the display, and it's also video and audio.
yeah,
Yep. But yeah, I thought it was interesting looking at the chart, seeing digital out of home popping up a little bit, almost 20%. So increase there. We've obviously seen an increase in our spending in digital out of home this year. So it's getting up there with audio.
Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are the biggest culprits on this. I mean, they're kind of talking. They have OTT on here, and it's 54%. So it's, I mean, everything is going up on this. I'm pretty excited about the. I'm looking more like towards podcasts and audio going higher.
Yep.
So that's what I'm pushing for, because that's what's replacing radio, and I know radio is a great option for some demos. So hoping that goes higher.
Absolutely.
But yeah, everybody's on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I mean, if you're advertising on Meta, TikTok, and YouTube, you're hitting a good chunk of the audience. Um,
Yep.
yeah, so this is great for them. As you see, social media, it has Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and I'm like, well, YouTube's trying to get in there with their YouTube Shorts. So
They are too. And also, if looking at social media, we want to include a video here as well, right?
mhm,
So really, we're looking at those big top three. It's all video.
it is. Connected TV is doing really well too. So we're just seeing it going up. It completely jives with everything that we've been talking about over the last couple months. So pretty good to
Absolutely.
see that this is working, and our clients are getting the biggest bang for their buck because we're keeping an eye on these trends.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the next
And
one that's a little
yeah,
bit more dense is about this is stuff that's happening at Cannes. Bunch of advertisers are complaining about things. Shocking.
yes. Bunch of old media buyers getting around being crotchety.
Yeah, one of the things that irks me is that they're, of course, the CEOs that are out of touch. They want
I
their
laughed.
they want their marketing teams to focus on sales and revenue metrics per the
Yep.
Japanese Boathouse survey. And I'm just like, yeah, I wouldn't know any CEO that doesn't want you to focus on ROI. They don't want you to
Exactly.
spend a
Yep.
dollar without knowing how much you're getting back on that dollar for that exact tactic. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it used to be, like, here's my $1 million budget. Like, am I getting $2 million back or $4 million back when I spend that whole budget? No, now they want to see, out of that $1 million, I'm spending 50,000 on search and 50,000 on TikTok. Where's my return on TikTok? What is my
Yep.
return on
And then
TikTok?
it's that constant optimizing, moving that budget around. I mean,
So
it's the basics of all of our media buys. But
it
yes, it
was
is.
a
It's kind
race.
of shocking that number's so low, to be honest.
It was a race to the bottom, and I think our messages as media buyers and advertising agencies are getting out to some of these CEOs and telling them, look, it's you can't just race to the bottom and just look at, because search and retargeting and stuff that you're running, like Performance Max, will always outbeat every single other tactic, and you can't just
Right.
you can't just dump your money into that, because you will
No, yes,
immediately
there's a
see.
place for that low,
Yes.
cost, high frequency, but you've got to pair it all together and you've got to have a blend
Yeah, and if
because
any
otherwise,
CEO
yeah, you're.
knows you got your funnel. You got your funnel.
Hmm.
And I'm like, the bottom of the funnel is the search, Performance Max stuff. And I mean, yes, it works great as long as you've got people up at the branding level and the consideration phase going
Hmm.
through these different phases, going down to the funnel, so that when they finally are like, you know what? I should switch my cell phone company. I've been seeing a lot of sales about, T-Mobile or something like that.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I'll go to T-Mobile's site. And you go to the site and you go through the whole process. But you went there, you did a search real quick, you clicked on the search thing. Guess which one gets
Yep.
your
The
attribution?
search. Yeah.
Even
It's
though
like
it's
all the
considered ads.
traditional, does all the legwork, none of the glory.
Yeah,
But
the
it's true.
traditional, the TV, radio, OTT, even the video on all the social media. Your social
Yes.
media
Social and online
team
video.
that's running ads. That's not even running ads. That's just posting posts and maybe boosting the posts.
Yep.
They're not getting credit for a lot of this. Like they're trying to lift everything that's lifting your brand up so that people are aware of it. So that when they're just like, you know what, you know, I do need a new I don't know, a new mattress.
Hmm.
Like maybe I should, like it's they find out like I do need a new mattress, and they remember, you have to stay top of mind with the people that are going to be your consumers, or else if you're just racing to the bottom of the funnel and they do a search for, house painters,
Hmm.
they are just it's unless they have some sort of branding above it and they see like, oh yeah, I've heard of them, they're going to click
Right.
on the
Right.
first search ads, which is, you want to be on the search ads, but you want to have a search ads with a name that the people have heard before. And
Exactly.
it's
That's
not.
the one I'm going to click on. That, yeah, that I saw on Instagram earlier, and saw, yeah,
Yeah.
gorgeous pictures of
Yeah.
the houses. Hmm.
All right. So that's that part of it. Another
Yeah.
part of it, they're talking about,
The ad ID, I
yeah.
thought was very interesting.
What did you think was interesting about it?
Well, I thought it was obviously something that we need to be able to see where these impressions are actually running, seeing what creative ran where. We can do that with traditional. We can't really do it with the OTT that's running now. And especially is that in regards to frequency, I thought was a really good point that they were talking about is there is no real way to guarantee to know exactly where all our spots are running. I mean, we've gotten calls from clients where they've said we've seen the spot run 6 times in an hour and we have the frequency cap set, one time per day even. So there really is being able to have that transparency and run a post, see where it actually ran and get that percentage of what is running too much, what is running too high in
Yeah,
frequency.
the next step is getting all the more of the details, especially when you're running on OTT, because
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of digital media buyers won't have the memory like you and I do of buying traditional. We actually buy shows. We don't buy the
Mm-hmm.
networks. Like we're not buying Peacock. We're
Right.
not buying, KXAN would be the local one here. But we're not buying NBC. We were
No,
buying
you're buying
like Grey's
a
Anatomy.
spot time and you know exactly to the second when that ran and in
Yeah,
what program.
yeah.
What
You
you
can tell
don't
what
know a
program.
lot about, yeah, like we had talked about, is the eyeballs that saw it, right? The households it served, but we don't have that demographic information to know that one-to-one match, right? That
Yeah.
that is the benefit. But without knowing
I mean,
what
you
you
can't.
serve them,
With traditional, you can do a post at the end
mhm,
and look at that, and see how well your buys did or didn't do and stuff like that. You can run posts on all of that. I mean, but for digital, like you just see, like you got this many impressions on Disney. Like
yep,
what was I running on a National Geographic kind of a thing, or
right, right.
was it on a Disney animated show, or was it
Mhm.
on Wrexham? Like what?
Was
Where
it?
was I
Yep.
running?
Well, and even more Disney, you kind of think, okay, everything's family friendly, like Amazon Prime. It could be
And
anything Prime. Then Prime Video is a great place to be. It's where the impressions are. We consider it premium, but your
yeah,
reporting is Prime Video.
it's like
Okay.
all over the place with that. It's yeah, the other thing, like you were saying, one of the stats on there, if you can see it, was that nearly half of viewers, 50%, agree that they have decided not to purchase a product from a brand when they see the ads too often.
That was very interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, and so even though we put frequency caps on things and we put it on there, I mean, I still see ads when I'm watching TV. I see the same ad pop up multiple times in just like within the same show that I'm watching. So
Exactly.
it is a
Exactly.
problem. Either that or the people who are running the ads for those companies didn't put a frequency
Frequency
cap
count. They
because
said,
they're
"Oh,
trying
we
to
need to make
spin
up
the
for our
media.
spend." Exactly.
Because all of a sudden, they're just like, well, we're not at pace. We need to get at pace, so
Hmm.
drop the frequency. So it's, I mean, that happens to, when people get into that situation. I see that. Um, I think the next one was mastering measurement in new spaces. They want to have a proven ROI compared to other channels is a top factor that would warrant an increased creator marketing budget among US branding. So this is them talking about influencer marketing.
Hmm.
And apparently, I mean, we haven't really delved too much into influencer marketing ourselves. We have our social media team works on
Yep.
that. So we don't have a whole lot of information, but I mean, they were saying the days of unchecked spending for influencer marketing are over. Like, were there days of unchecked spending?
I think you could always find days of unchecked spending in any industry, but um,
Not in our
no,
department. No,
not in ours, not in ours,
no.
other industry.
So it looks like
Um,
they're wanting more ROI statistics for actual influencers.
Influencers. And I know they can probably get a lot more stats on what they can see versus if they do take money, right? As far as what I don't know is if they can see a lot of the purchasing afterwards, which they must as long as it's linked into their,
I mean,
purchasing
I
site.
know when I was looking at the influencer stuff, like I was able to see, of course, how many followers they have, how many active followers per post they usually get.
Right. And like male female split, ages, things like
Yeah,
that.
and the engagement rate, so you can kind of guesstimate what your return is going to be, like how many people are engaged with your thing. But I don't know. A lot of that is it's just like having. I think most people should think of influencers as, yeah, you're going to use their channel as a marketing area, but also use who they are in your ad campaign. Use it as like
Right. As your
a
brand.
DJ
Hmm.
endorsement kind of a thing. The way that we had radio ads, or we have
That's,
radio
yeah, I
ads,
think of it like a radio endorsement. I mean,
DJ
really.
endorsement.
Yeah.
And sure, they're going to endorse your ad, but you can use that elsewhere. But I mean, it's like they use that on a radio station when a DJ endorses your product. When they do a DJ endorsement,
Hmm.
they're recording their own ad for that station to run during their program. But then they also will run it during the rest of the day because
Right.
people
Rebroadcast
will,
it the rest of the day. And then also kind of if you get those DJs out to your event, out to your store, then
yeah.
that's a whole nother,
So you use their ad as a part of your, say you had an influencer on TikTok that you had an ad with, that you paid for, and you have the rights to take their ad and put it wherever you want it to. You
Mhm.
basically, what you're going to do is you're going to take that post and you're going to run it to an audience that's basically a lookalike of that influencer's audience, because you're not going to want to just run it to the general audience. There's plenty of people that don't know who that is.
Right.
So it's going to be, you're going to have to stay with that creator's a lookalike of that audience. What would be really nice is if you can get that creator to basically let you use their creator audience. Like they have a TikTok channel, they have an audience that they're
Mhm.
able to pull from, and let them send you like a lookalike of their audience or something like that. It doesn't have to be their exact audience unless you're willing to pay them for it, which you probably work out something like that. But
Exactly, along with the rest of
yeah,
the deal. It's
I think
that's I think a
cool.
great idea, and exactly how to capitalize on that
But
really niche
all the poor
audience.
influencers that are always complaining about, they're not getting enough money from the ads or whatever, and now they're gonna have to
Mhm.
prove their ROI. Yeah,
Yep.
welcome to the
Welcome
headache.
to our world.
Welcome to welcome to the headache. It's just gonna happen. So that was what some of the people at Cannes they're working through. They're talking about having transparency and compliance, and getting ROI, which I mean, I'm not seeing anything in here about AI coming into the program and doing any of
I've
this. So,
been hearing, I mean, that seems to be how are you going to sift through all this data to be able to, have that transparency and
yeah,
show where, especially for the CTV we're kind of talking about, show where impressions are running.
yeah,
They're
I
going to
think
need
that
it.
the AI is going to help with pushing a lot of these brands back into more branding because they're going to have to. They're going to have to establish their brand, make sure it's a solid throughout the ecosystem, and push out branding to get people so that when they ask ChatGPT or Gemini or Meta about
Hmm.
where's a good place to eat, they're going to be just like, well, here's some examples. I mean, even then, like we saw some stuff the other day that the younger audience, they're going to TikTok, they're going to Instagram to find things like do a
To
search.
search.
So, I mean, if you have, I have a feeling that like Instagram might have start using Meta's AI in their search returns to help the people. They're like, where can I go search? Where can I go to eat?
Hmm.
So you might have to pay like for searches when people are looking for where to eat near me. Please put my social post up first, like a
Yeah.
sponsored ad. So I have a feeling that's where that's going to go with the search when it comes to social using social media as a search engine, which is it gives me a headache thinking about how people are using it. But
You got to follow the
it's a
trends
new
and then learn how to
generation
figure
that
out how to make sure, like, just like you were saying, that our search is the one that comes up first.
like,
So,
please make our post about how good our margaritas are at our restaurant come up first,
hmm, exactly.
and our guacamole, please. Yeah, that'd be great. All right, well, I think that does it for us
Yep,
today.
covers it today, and we'll be back next week with some more topics and no technical difficulties. We'll
Oh,
see you then.
cross your fingers.